Hello and welcome. Joining us in the studio today is the outgoing president of the Association of Nigerians in Nova Scotia, Mr. Kunle Fakiyesi. Welcome, Mr. Kunle Fakiyesi.
Thank you, Kenny. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. So how would you describe, or can you give us the highlight of your past administration?
Well, thank you for that question. A lot of things has happened in the last 2 years at the Association of Nigerians in Nova Scotia. We were sworn in January 2018, and the very first thing we did when we took office was to send out a member survey to the people, because we needed to be sure what the people wanted us to do before we started doing that. So we sent a survey, it's a member survey, and we had just one question: what do you want us to do for you? So on the basis of the feedback we got, the members said we should do some certain things. Well, the first thing was the people said they wanted more consular presence by way of ability to renew their travel documentation. The second was they needed to have more programs for women and children. The third was welfare, that we should deepen the welfare, member welfare. And another one that I remember was people wanted us to organize trainings and seminars and things for them to be able to know what's going on in the community. And then they wanted us to improve on our community engagement. And last but not least, they wanted us to build more bridges between the association and the government. So those were the marching orders we received from the people. And then after we got that, we went back into a strategy session, the excos, and then we decided to start putting in place different activities to make sure this is done. So we sectioned our activities along the different departments in the excos. You know, apart from myself, the president, we had a vice president, and we also had a secretary and a welfare officer, as well as a public relations officer. So for the secretariat, the very first thing we did was we digitized the secretariat. So unlike what we had previously when we came in, when documents were being managed, you know, in paper files and so on and so forth, the first thing we did, we put all that on the cloud. We got a Dropbox subscription, and we made sure all the meeting minutes were updated and uploaded in the cloud. We had a member registry, we had correspondences, every single thing, such that if anybody comes in today and says, I need so and so information, we could provide that information in 5 minutes flat. So that we really focused on, and we were able to accomplish that. In addition to that, we looked at the other things, but like communication. Before we came in, the organization had a website, but the website had some issues because the hosting was overdue and it had not been done. So we focused on that. We built a website. Today we have a fully functional website, which we are very proud of. In addition to that, we expanded the social media presence significantly. Before we came in, we only had Facebook, which did not have a lot of engagement. Now we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, we have YouTube, and we have MailChimp. So we focused on that, and because we believe that we need to have an open door where people can reach us anytime, 24/7, 365. And I'm happy to say today that when we came into when we took over in January 2018, we had just 30 subscribers on our mailing list. Today we have over 600 unique subscribers on the mailing list. So the people are abreast of what's going on at the association. They know what's going on, and they are very happy about it. In addition to that, early on we rebranded. We created a new logo, we created a new look and feel for the organization. In addition to the logo, we created new letterheads, and we put this up on all our public persona outside there, you know, such that when people engage the association, they saw that consistency. They could see that consistency in our branding, and it made things a lot easier for us. The community began to see this brand, the Nigerian Association of Nigerians in Nova Scotia brand. And then in terms of welfare, we have done a great deal in terms of welfare. First of all, starting from settlement services that we're able to provide for Nigerians, especially those that are just landing in this country. You know, it always gives me joy when I walk down the street and someone stops me and says, hey, I spoke with you before I came to Canada. I was still in Nigeria. We were able to do a lot of that. Airport pickups, sourcing accommodation for people, even things like helping them with discounts on their insurance, helping them with their cable services, and so many of these little things that you wouldn't think are very important, but those are the things that make a difference in the lives of people when they just come to Canada. And so many people invited us into fora even before they came. We went in there, we educated them on what they needed to do, and I am proud to say that today, even among Nigerians that are not here yet, the Association of Nigerians in Nova Scotia has moved from obscurity to prominence. We are now the go-to settlement services organization that they reach out to, especially when they get letters from the Nova Scotia Office of Immigration, you know, asking them, have you contacted any agency and what have they done for you? They're able to say they have contacted us, we have given them the flow of how this province looks like, and so on and so forth. In terms of in addition to that, unfortunately, over the course of 2 years, we had a number of bereavements in the community. You know, we lost some members. The association was also there, you know, to the best of our ability to offer support in terms of emotional support and otherwise to the people that lost loved ones. So we are also very happy about that as far as the welfare aspect is concerned. So I would say that we have done quite a lot. In fact, I don't think there is enough room for me to, unless you want to stay here, you know, all day. But in addition to that, from the financial standpoint, I am also happy to say that one of the first things we did was look at how the revenue collection was being done. Everything was manual paper. People were collecting cash and writing paper receipts. We did away with all that. We put in an accounting and invoicing system. We eliminated cash 100%. So every single revenue that's coming into the association, be it annual dues of members, be it payment for special services, everything is now digitized. You pay online, immediately you get your receipt of payment, no argument, nothing. Everything goes into your our bank account straight. That has improved accountability tremendously. That has improved financial record keeping tremendously. And also, for the first time in a while, I don't think this was done before, but we were able to do it. We engaged the services of a CPA, a chartered public accountant, to actually review the financials of the association and give us the financial statement. So our financial statements are not just things we prepared ourselves by as the excos, but this is something that was prepared by an external party, a CPA. And in terms of the other mandates that we were given, in terms of additional programs to make sure that the children and the women and other sections of the community are involved, we look at it and said, what can we do? We now realized that actually there were some different activities in the bigger community, just that we are not fully tapped into it. And we decided to put the motions in place. Instead of reinventing the wheel, we decided to start creating those linkages. For instance, the Black Business Initiative runs this summer camp every year. We engaged our members and encourage them to attend such events. We have some members of the community that run other things, such as the G1L1 Generation 1 Leadership Initiative. We provided our platform for them to be able to promote their services, and many members went there. We had the Black Boys Code, which we organized in conjunction with that organization. We provided support for that, and I can tell you, at least 20 to 30 young people of Nigerian descent were able to learn the basics of software development and computer coding. In addition to that, we have the RBCI code, which was open to teenagers. We provided that information to members. A lot benefited from it. We also have the Little Learner Social Association that has been doing a phenomenal work in the community. We supported them. They have done so much for the children, taking them on cooking classes at Sobeys, taking them on excursions to places of interest. Even the children were able to do a performance at the last Black Heritage Month, African Black.
Brilliant stuff, brilliant stuff.
Those are just the highlights I can remember off the top of my head, and there's still a lot more. I mean, the records are there. For instance, if you go on our YouTube, you will see lots and lots and lots of videos memorializing and documenting what we have done. Another thing we did that people were really happy about was the fact that we took the organization from the backwaters to the mainstream. You know, one of the things they asked us to do was engage the government. We are happy to say today that we were able to engage at all levels of government, starting from the provincial level. I mean, the last event we had, the mayor knew about it and was involved. In addition to that, we had 2 city councillors that provided support for us as well. That's at the provincial level. At the state level, we got the support of the Premier of Nova Scotia, because we got a goodwill message from the Premier, which was published in our yearbook for the Nigeria Week. In addition to that, we had MLAs from 2 political parties show their support. We had the MLA Rafadi Costanzo that even attended our Jollof Cook-Off, the last Jollof Cook-Off event. We had MLA Lisa Roberts, and we had the leader of the NDP, MLA Gary Burrow. You know, that's at the provincial level. Now let's talk about the federal level. The Member of Parliament representing the city of Halifax in Ottawa was on hand to attend some of our events. These are people that we reached out to, and we engaged, and we followed up, and we made sure that we built those connections, so much so that we moved the association from obscurity to prominence. In addition to that, we made sure that we created connections between the Association of Nigerians in Nova Scotia and other economic groups or other groups in the community, Today, one of the things we did was we organized a trip to the Black Cultural Center for Nova Scotia. That is like the place for the African Nova Scotian community. We were well received. Everybody was happy. We created that connection. In addition to that, we reached out to the Mi'kmaq Native Friendship Center. The Mi'kmaq are the indigenous people, the original owners of the land where we all call home today. We did that as well. And in addition to that, we created connections with the Filipino community. We were able to sustain that, and we were able to, to utilize the resources we had to be able to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Kunle. Well done to you and the other excos. Just thinking, just high level, if you can tell us 3 landmarks that you've done or that you did during your tenure.
Oh, that's a tough question. How do I pick the top 3 now? I think we've done quite a few things, but some of them will stand out naturally. I think far above and beyond what I think we have done that really for me has stood out was, first of all, being able to grow the member base. When we took office, there were just 5 people who were financial members of the association. I could count them on just one hand. Only 5 financial members. In year 1, we significantly grew that. We had 101 financial members. And I'm happy to report that as I speak to you, we have over 180 financial members of the association. It is unprecedented in the annals of this association. In addition to that, we were able to provide a certain level of consular support that had been missing in Halifax for several years. It came to a point where people here almost felt they were forgotten, by the Nigerian High Commission, but we engaged the High Commissioner, we engaged the office, and we were able to do that passport exercise in 2018, where we brought the consular officers from Ottawa. They spent a few days here, and they were able to do the data capture for so many people. That we recorded a turnout of over 100 people, because there was a little bit of apathy. People thought, oh, will it be possible? It's never been done before. But that is why we are here, to show people that these things can be done. And we did it. It was beautiful. Within 3 days, people started getting their passports back. Within 5 weeks, everybody had their passports back. And then we repeated it the following year, and the attendance was double. And not only did we do it to serve the people of Nova Scotia, we had people from all the Atlantic provinces that came to attend. That people from Prince Edward Island, people from Newfoundland and Labrador, people from New Brunswick. They were also a part of this. So that's something I think we did that was very landmark. In addition to that, the Nigeria Week. When we came in, I was actually part of the people that proposed the idea of Nigeria Week, that why should we just be doing Nigeria Nights? Said, let's take it a step further, let's do Nigeria Week. So we did it with the previous administration. They saw what could be done. But when we came in, we moved it, we expanded on it. We did Nigeria Week 2018. It was hugely successful. We had just 7 events spread over 7 days. And then we decided to raise the bar. This year, we had 9 events in 7 days. And we did it with an army of volunteers. And that's one thing I consider to be, when you cast the vision and you're able to get people to galvanize around it. We had over 80 volunteers that were working on different project streams. We were very professional and clinical and precise in what we did. And we were able to deliver the most memorable event in the history of the Association of Nigerians in Nova Scotia.
Well done.
The Nigeria Night was sold out. It had never happened before. We did not have to sell tickets at the door. And in addition to that, people were happy and all that. And then in terms of seminars that we have delivered fire and safety seminars, we have delivered child welfare seminars, we have delivered seminars on business taxes and personal taxes, we have delivered seminars on home ownership. That's another one I'm proud of, because in the course of 2 years, we did 3 seminars on home ownership and mortgages and so on and so forth. And I can proudly say that from my estimates, people in this community have been entrusted with over $6 million worth of mortgages by virtue of which is directly attributed to what they came to listen to at the seminars, and they took action, and today they are proud homeowners enjoying the comfort of life in Canada. And then the crowning achievement, the crown on top of all those accomplishments was when we were formally recognized by the city of Halifax on that historic day on October 1st or October 3rd, 2019, when the flag of Nigeria was raised for the first time at the Grand Parade in front of the City Hall in Halifax. And the first week of October every year was set aside as Nigeria Week in the city of Halifax. There's no better testament to how much we have been able to accomplish in the past 2 years to bring the association to the mainstream of Nova Scotia life.
Well done, Mr. Kunle. What advice do you have for the incoming executives? What would you like to tell them? How would you want them to carry on the vision that you've brought into this association?
Thank you. First of all, I would like to congratulate each and everyone that deemed it fit to throw their hats in the ring to even run for office. I would congratulate them. It's an act of courage. It's an act of boldness. And it's an act of willingness to serve. Not everyone will be able to do that. So in terms of advice I have for them, I would just say whoever, whenever you start, running the affairs of the association, always remember that we are all different stakeholders. Do whatever you can to carry people along, be a good listener, but also know that different stakeholders have different agendas. So it is very important that you stay on the ball. You don't, focus too much attention on market noise so that you can get your goals done. Consult with the people, make sure you have the mandate of the people, and then be very clinical and be precise in doing what you need to do to achieve what you want to achieve.
Is there anything you could have done differently during your administration?
Oh yes, absolutely. There's a lot of room for improvement. So looking back at what we have done in the past 2 years, if I had to do this again, I think I would prioritize some things. Some things we left till a little late before we implemented. I would have pushed them forward. One of them was the new bylaws for the association. For the bylaws we have are pretty outdated. If we all have to be honest, but it's still the law, right? So that's what we worked on. We tried our best to make sure that we update the bylaws. We actually did update it. We have an updated bylaw now, just that it's yet to be ratified by the members. Okay. So if I could do this again, that would probably be the first thing I would tackle after asking the people what they want us to do. And then the other thing I probably would have done differently was make sure the board of directors that we inaugurated or identified the resources to serve on the board towards the tail end of our administration. Maybe we would have done that early on. Yeah.
Okay. So do you have anything to say to the Nigerians living in Nova Scotia today?
Oh, absolutely. So fellow Nigerians living in Nova Scotia, I would like to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to be of service for the past 3 years. This is something I really thank you and appreciate you for. I do not take that responsibility lightly at all. I thank you so much for entrusting me with the leadership of this administration over the past 2 years, and I hope I have done enough to satisfy your yearnings and aspirations. I would also encourage you all to please be a part of this electoral process that's coming up. So this is a critical time in the history of our association. It is important for you all to have a say in who becomes the next leader in this association. We have grown it to such a stage that this is the time. This is a very critical, you cannot afford to sit on the fence. And in closing, I know that over the past 2 years we have done a lot, and we probably have ruffled a few feathers and we have stepped on a few toes. I want everyone to understand that if we had stepped on your toes or ruffled your feathers, it was done in the interest of the common good. We had to stay on the ball, we had to be precise, and we had to clinically, trim the dead weight, if you will, to make sure that we achieve our objective. So don't take it personal, take it in good faith. It's one of those things we need to do to make sure that we deliver results for the greater good. Thank you, and make sure you cast your vote for who the next leaders will be.
Okay, thank you for your time, Mr. President.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
And that's it from us from the studio. I'm Kehinde Ademulegun. See you later.